Hey, welcome
It'll
to the
do.
First Layer. My name's Richard. Guess what? I'm with these guys. Hang on, let me cut to them. These guys over here. You know these guys.
Da-da-da-da.
Tonight we have Jess with us in the house as well as Brian. If you hear a little bit of echoing, it's because of the audio setup that they have at their house. I have to go and fix it for them.
Oh,
Audio's
come
not his
on.
thing.
Really?
Audio's not
Hey.
his thing.
Hey,
Hey, audio's my thing.
why you?
So let's
What a
say
jerk.
hello to some people in the house tonight. We got Joseph Jolly, Dominic Versetto, 3D Printing Newbie Milan. We have Spartan Props. Well, that's our lovely Jess, of course. She is monitoring
Yes.
our room tonight. Mark Thibodeau, High Tech Redneck, Rick Landon, Brian Lehman, The Scarecrow, Snapshot FPV, Loch Ness, Peter Reynolds, Ben Brady, RT, 3D Obsession, Gary T, Jason Peters, Vurick 3733, and Alteracious. Wow. I think I got everybody.
Wowza.
I got everybody.
That's wild.
Yeah. See, you guys are going to hear some echo on Brian's half because two mics are picking them up. So
I'm trying the best I can. Hang on.
all right. So let's get into it tonight. We've got a lot to
Yeah, a
cover.
little bit.
We have got quite a few emails we got to get through tonight as well. Some of them are kind of long. And we're going to take your questions as well tonight in the chat, as we always do. The beautiful little dollar sign is turned on down at the bottom. That is for Super Chat. If you have a question and you'd like to get it to the top of the queue, this is what you're going to hear.
Super chat.
And we always appreciate your super chats because they do help us to create brand new content for you guys each and every week. And we have been slow at getting content out just because you can see I have paint on my hand. I think you can see I have paint on my hand. I've been painting a lot the last couple of days while my wife is cleaning. I'm painting. So Brian, how was your
Jess,
week?
could you? Well, it's been kind of busy.
Kind of busy.
Yeah, lots of 3D printing projects. I've got a Mandalorian helmet running behind me here, and I'm doing a major rebuild of the CR-10S V right now.
Wow. Jess says she can't hear me.
You can't hear?
I can't hear Richard.
Oh, weird. Can you tap that mic?
Yeah, her
Okay, so it
mic
is that
works
mic.
fine.
Okay.
Tell her she's got to bring that mic closer to her face.
Oh, you know why? Hang on. It's probably this. It's this weird system I've got set up right now.
I told you, I got to go over there and fix all his audio.
Jess, can you hear him now?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. No.
No?
No.
Okay.
It's okay.
I will keep playing with this in the meantime.
All right. Hey, Alteracious, thank you very much.
Super chat.
Hey, thank you.
Right off the bat, High Tech Rednet says, so I just ordered a laser engraver kit from Creality. Anyone got any tips and tricks about getting it going? I'm sorry that you did this. Hopefully you don't burn down your house. And at the end of the day, let us know how it goes. Why did I just go off? I have audio, but I have no video.
Sorry. This is... Oh. Da-da-da-da. High
If it's
tech
any
technology.
consolation, I can hear Richard now.
Oh, you can hear him now.
I can, yeah.
Weird.
There we go. There we go. I'm back. I know exactly what happened. It hit the half-hour time limit on the camera. I have to change that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you've got... you're shooting on a T7i, right?
No, T2i.
Oh.
I've got the T2i.
Oh, this is on my T2i.
This is your T2i.
Okay, just a little pro tip with that camera. This is why you need Magic Lantern.
I'm using Magic Lantern. Thank you. I haven't adjusted the timeout yet, though.
Yeah, yeah.
See, that's the only thing I haven't done. So we'll deal with it throughout the night. Anyway, let's get into tonight's questions. So
Yes.
first and foremost,
Well, to bounce back to Alteracious' question, I did do the review. I've got the video footage. I want to say maybe on this camera, hiding over here, off screen. I just have to put together some editing. Truth be told, construction video is done, but the kind of 1 to 2 week playtime hasn't been tested yet.
All right. My wife's raising her hand over there. I don't know what the hell she's trying to say to me because I got headphones on, so I'm not going to let her distract me tonight. What do we got going on here? Oh, Brian, need the BLV review. We just talked about that. I'm trying to catch up here. So, Rick Landon wants to know about splicing filament set for printing something by weight. I've never done it. Rick actually contacted me via Messenger today, and the only thing I can say to you, Rick, is invest your money. If you're going to do anything like this, invest your money into a Mosaic Palette Pro or Palette Pro 2 and set up your coloring that way for your different colors that you want to use. You can put up to 4 different materials into that at any given time. And that is really, I've never done it by weight, so I really couldn't tell you. Brian, have you ever done it, changed filament by weight or strung filament together?
No, nothing like that. It's I just use a runout sensor.
There you go. Before we get into Joey's question, we have one here from Peg City Jets. He says, yes, I'm a Jets fan.
While I kick this video feed. 1 second. Just going to fight.
Oh, now he's kicking his video feed. Yep. Now he's paused. Okay. So he was asking, as I was saying, I printed a model and the top and bottom were fine, but the middle came out with really strong lines on them. I thought maybe it had something to do with the supports. I've included a picture. Now I'm looking at the picture here. We can't bring it up on video today, but because I don't have the NDI set up on my tablet. But by looking at what's going on here, it looks like you're speeding up in the middle of your print. Your print is speeding up. I don't know if you've got it set differently, and you're getting layer shifting like crazy because of the speed. But you're right, the bottom and the top are fine. And I think this is more of a speed issue. Slow down that secondary speed so that it all matches. So like I said, I always print at 45 to 50 millimeters per second, and that is the way that you can probably alleviate that. Ryan, you've got this document. Have a look at the picture.
Yes. Hang on, I got double audio there.
Now we can't hear you at all.
Oh.
Oops. Okay. I'm just trying to get my double audio away here. I don't know what I'm doing with this.
Okay, that sounds great. You're doing fine. Just leave it there. Don't touch anything.
No, but I'm
else.
hearing myself. That's why I'm all mixed up here.
Oh, just turn down the headphone on your channel. That's all. Now I can't hear you at all. You turned down the audio. You didn't turn down the headphones. Hello? There he is.
You couldn't hear me with that, eh?
No. See, there's a little headphone dial right at the very bottom.
Yeah, I'm trying to...
on your, if you turn down the mask... Oh, all right.
I'm reconnecting from the web browser, damn it. Be back.
Oh, okay. Let's just keep going here. In any case, I would say that the problem that you're having here, Solomon from Peg City Jets, is that this is a problem of moving too fast after you get over a certain layer, because that is really sloppy. And the other thing you might want to check is make sure that your X, your Y, and your Z gantries are all nice and tight. Brian looks like he's frozen over there. I don't know what he's doing. So we'll just move along. So that is where I would go with that. Now let's take a look at what we've got going on here. Yeah, getting feedback, we know. Joey says, I seem to have problems with PET layers sticking together. What do you think would help? I'm going to tell you exactly what your problem is there. You probably have your fan turned on, and if your fan is turned on, it will not stick. You've got to turn that fan down to about 25%, and that should help things work out quite well. Hey, there's Jerry, 3D Printing and Painting. Hello, Richard, Brian, and everyone. Hello, Jerry. What layer setting is related to speed you were printing at? Rick Landon. I'm always printing at 45 for both my top, my bottom, and my mid layers, so that's usually the way it goes. I have Jess on screen with me, but no Brian. And I can't hear Jess. There's no audio for Jess. This is why we work these problems out before the show starts.
She can get in through Brian's mic. Why doesn't she just talk like that?
I have the peanut gallery in the background.
You can hear me.
All right, I don't know what's going on there with Brian and Jess, but I'm going to just keep going. At what layer settings is related to speed you're printing at? Well, related to speed that you're printing at, let me open up Cura, and we'll bring in that screen. As soon as we bring up Cura here. Well, now I can hear Jess.
There we go. All right. We're here. Sorry, folks.
Hey, Brian. Dun,
We
dun,
got a
dun.
super chat.
Super chat.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thanks for being you, he says. We do really appreciate it. Thank you very much. As I said, I'm trying to pull up Cura here, so as soon as it comes up, we will. I'll get a chance to include it here in the stream, and I'll show you exactly where that is. Joey, we do this every Saturday night, or sometimes on Sunday nights. So usually it's Saturday nights at 7 Mountain Standard Time. Now, where is my Cura? There it is. Let me put it over here. Let me add a quick screen here, you guys.
So what's on everybody's printer this weekend?
I don't know.
As you can see behind me, I've got a Mandalorian helmet printing right here. And my dad and I are inventing some stuff, so that's right here. And the CR-10 looks like it's on this side, but it is not.
But it is not. Okay, so we've got Cura up here. Let's have a quick peek at the settings guide. And usually, you're going to find that your speed, if you go to the speed tab here, your printing speed right now, mine is set to 50% or 50 millimeters per second. Top and bottom speeds, you can see that the top and bottom speed is set to half that amount. So usually you're going to get a much better result if you're running a little slower, getting back to that first one. If you run a little bit slower, that's usually what's going to happen. You can equalize the filament flow. I usually don't, or you can go to enable acceleration control. If you want to know more about these features, there is a great little extension called the settings guide that you can install onto your version of Cura. It goes back quite a ways, so install this onto your current version, and then what it will do is if you want to see a little bit more about how this works, all you got to do is just click it and it will show you a full detailed explanation and tell you exactly what it affects. Okay, so let's hopefully that solved that issue. All right, there we go. Let me close that up because I know I'm missing some other ones.
Caught me drinking water.
Got you drinking water, yeah.
Should be something stronger.
There you go. SKW Diesel 1 says, "Hi TFL, I sent you an email about my issue with the twisting filament in the Bowden tube using the dual drive extruder. I realigned the dual hob drive gears and the issue has all but disappeared." Excellent. That's what we want to see. That's definitely what we want to see. So Rick Landon says he's making 2-color logo plates. Rick, the best way that I've done it is I lay down my first color, then I pause the machine and I lay down my second color. I'll switch out, and that's usually the best way to do it. I don't know of any other really good way other than having a dual extruder or having let me just see here. Here's a good example. Can't get that one off the plate yet. Here we go. Okay. So in a case like this, you can see we've got white and red. This was done using 2 extruders, okay? But if you're going to lay down, let's say you're going to lay down red first and you want all your text in white, then stop it at the layer. If you're using Simplify 3D, there is a way to do it that's much easier. It can be done through the Processes tab. And you can set up separate processes for the 2 different colors that you want to do. And you can split the STL for those 2 processes. And I think we did a video on that not too long ago.
Brian, you got a question. How fast is that helmet printing in the background? The parameters are going crazy fast.
I'd have to check the settings, actually.
Probably default, so 60?
Yeah, I think it's 60. What they're actually seeing on those perimeters is actually the... they're seeing the tree supports on the outside.
Yeah, the tree supports are going pretty quick.
There you go. Brian Lehman says, "Nothing I can't get mine to ABL with the BL Touch." I need a little bit more information on that, Brian, because we're not going to be able to do much about your BL Touch if I don't know exactly what's happening.
Anybody familiar with Screeware 2?
I'm not.
No, I've never heard of it.
You can tell the max speed on that print is 50 mils per second.
Max speed on the print behind us is 50 mils per second, Brian says.
Hey, there's David Clark. He says, "Hi, long time no see." Luke Murray says, "How fast is that helmet?" Well, you guys just covered that. Looks crazy fast. Scott Manson says, "I kept having problems leveling the bed till I bought solid springs. 3 months fighting stock springs." Yeah, you can do that. I haven't changed any of mine from the stock springs. I think they're doing just fine. So yeah, it's all a matter of how much tension you have on them. If you've got too little tension, your bed is never going to be quite level because it's going to keep shifting on you. But if you've got them tightened down a little bit, it can, of course, help you out by securing that bed a little bit better. Of course, stronger springs are going to make a little bit of a difference for you as well. So that is one way to go. Maker 3D Printing says, "I use a palette too for multicolor." Yeah, I've used the palette too. I really like it. And it's worked out really well for me.
Oh, Brian said that he sent us an email with a video of his issue.
I didn't see an email with a video. I'm sorry. I did not
Asking a forum for help, I was asked where I downloaded my print profile for Cura. Confused as to what I'm supposed to have downloaded, printer or filament settings info.
Usually you want filament settings info.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian, I did not see that email. I'm sorry if I missed it. Did you send it to us over here at Questions at the First Layer? If you didn't, I probably didn't get it. Oh, Okay, let's get on to our next question that we have through email. This is from Michael from Sweden. He says, why do I get lines like this on Lithophanes? Has an Ender 3 V2 and Slicer's Ultimaker Cura 4.7. Hope you can help me. And by looking at the lines, I know exactly what that's from because it's happening in the exact same spot all the time. What you have to do with that, Michael, is turn the orientation of the lithophane. So if your lithophane is facing you like this, turn it on its edge like this so that the length of the lithophane is going along the Y axis instead of across the X. You want it to go across the Y, you'll get a much cleaner print and you won't have any of those aberrations. 22 tooth belt that make any different to 18 tooth gear and belt to print to given size. Rick Landon. I've never used a 22 tooth belt. You're usually going to get a G2 belt, which is always going to be the same. It's just the amount of gears or the amount of teeth that are on the gear. The belt never changes. It should always be a GT2 belt, which will have usually the same amount of what do you call it there? Same amount of teeth per inch. So it's just the tooth, the pulley tooth will either be bigger because it's got more teeth or it'll be a little smaller because it has fewer teeth. And I've only seen them in 16 and 20 tooth, not a 22 tooth. That seems to be a little bit bigger pulley.
Questions at thefirstlayer.com is the correct email?
Yes.
It should be, yeah.
Yes, it is. Questions at thefirstlayer.com. Yes.
We must have just missed that email. That's so weird.
Yeah, I haven't seen that all week, so, and I looked up all the emails again this morning, so. GT2 is 2mm pitch. That's correct. Ben Brady is saying. SKW Diesel, if you sent it to me at the First Layer, chances are I didn't see it because I get so much email there. I usually kind of sweep away those that aren't related to business contacts because that's where all my business contacts contact me through. And this week has been an enormously busy week with a bunch of stuff that's going on and a bunch of stuff that's coming that you guys will be able to take advantage of a little bit later on. Brian, yes, I do have your email here, Brian. This is going to be for... I didn't get a video, but I do have the email, and I did send it along to Brian, who should have it up on his as well. And if he's got it on his, he should be able to answer this question when we get to it. Actually,
Ben, to answer your question, yes. It was blizzarding earlier. Sorry, Richard.
It wasn't really blizzarding here. We got a little bit of snow.
Oh, it was blizzarding up here. I couldn't see the condos across the street.
Oh, wasn't blizzarding here.
Oh, wow.
Okay, SKW Diesel 1, if you sent it along to questions at thefirstlayer.com, I won't get it today. Well, I will get it today, but I won't be able to answer it for you until I actually get a chance to read it.
As for the question regarding end of spool, usually if my spool gets really, really low that it's like I can see the reel underneath it, I will just pause my print and switch my filament right there because I know it's going to cause an issue. So you just kind of pull it out and load in a new one.
There you go. Sent again. Okay, thank you, Brian. Brian, actually, I have it right here. You are the president of Craftmaster.
Rick Landon says we're losing your microphone, Richard.
Mine? Why are we losing
Apparently.
my mic?
I still hear you fine.
Yeah, we should be just fine. Okay, Brian is going through the email for you right now, Rick.
Yeah, sounds fine.
But it's fine.
Now we just got to get Brian in on this. The next two emails are actually directed for Brian. And all.
Oh, he is listening, so he could always answer through my microphone.
Well, he's going to have to come and answer. We're losing Richard's mic.
Brian, come over here.
Actually, you know what? I'll just hop into the call. Hang on.
Can you?
I have to boot you.
Oh, you're going to boot me out? Okay.
Hang on.
Okay, we need to get this sorted out before we start a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter says he hears me loud and clear, so it must be something on Rick's end.
Mike Kirk Jr. says, why doesn't Brian just pull his chair over?
Yeah,
right?
Just pull your chair over and be done with it.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I can hear people now. Yeah, it would have paused you. Britt, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All righty, back to regular business. I'm sorry. Just so you guys know, the upgrade to get more callers on this is another $350 US. So we're a little cheap. Okay. So taking a look here at Brian's question. I'll try and quickly burn through a lot of the text here. But he picked up a used but looks new CR-10. Worked great for a couple of weeks, and out of nowhere, the head started smoking. Woo! So I bought a new head, and after that, I couldn't get a good first layer. So after some research, I decided to add dual Z-axis screws and BL Touch. Well, Brian, you broke the cardinal rule, don't do upgrades until she works. And then he added a BL Touch, couldn't get ABL to work at all. Then he upgraded the main board and screen to the SKR Mini E3 version 2.0 32-bit board with the touchscreen, which is a great combination here. He tried to hook up the BL Touch, the 5-pin header on the new board, couldn't get that to work with the Big Tree Tech firmware precompiled. So I hooked up with a 3-pin to the 5-pin header, a whole bunch of different changes here. Loaded some firmware, had some issues. Basically, the Z's not moving. So I would say, first of all, just put a pause on things. We need to step back and look at what's on the machine. So from what I can see here, you've got a dual Z CR-10 running on an E3 Mini 32-bit board, which means you probably have a splitter in place for your Z, which is perfectly fine. So whenever I'm building firmware for a printer, the first thing I want to do is build a baseline. I don't care about any of the fancy features. I just want to make the machine move. So what I'd suggest is download the latest version of Marlin and grab the latest firmware for a CR-10, or latest configuration for a CR-10. If you can't find that, no problem. It's actually not that much has changed from the baseline. Then what you want to do is set it up with the motherboard type, which would be I believe, BTT E3 Mini. There's actually no real variant between... Actually, sorry, there is a variant between the version 2 and 1.2. Get that baseline going. If you need to, borrow a configuration for an Ender 3, because for the most part, it's just going to be a build volume change. Now, once you've downloaded that firmware, the next thing I always do is I move the motors, and I make sure, number one, they all move, and number two, that they move in the correct direction. The latter is really mostly the biggest issue I encounter, which is the motor goes the wrong way, and in which case we change the invert X dir, the invert Y dir, etc. Now, once we've got all that, just the basic movements down play, now we can dig into the stuff like the BL Touch and everything. And I'm going to tell you right now with the Big Tree boards, the biggest issue I've found with the BL Touch and the Big Tree boards is that the Z end stop pins are actually flipped. And I do continue to use the Z end stop input as my BL Touch input. I don't like extra pins. I don't want to try and diagnose different filtering. I know the Z end stop always works. So simply put, what I do is I configure the BL Touch and tell the probe to use the Z end stop pin, and I tell it to home. And when it's homing, before it even gets close to the bed, I put my hand underneath the BL Touch pin and see if it bounces back. If it continues to go down, I pull the power plug, and I know that something's not working with my signal coming back. And as I said, the biggest issue I've found is that the two pins are actually swapped many times. There's a ground wire, and I believe the white one is the signal return. And if you look at the schematic for the big tree boards, a lot of them have that pin orientation swapped around, and therefore it won't work. So there's going to be a lot of steps ahead with building Marlin, but let's keep it simple. Let's give our knowns. Let's make the firmware work, and then if you're encountering errors, the great thing about Marlin is most of the errors come from a routine called sanity check, which intends to kind of give you clarity on what that actual issue is. And for those of you who don't have a programming background, be sure to go all the way to the first error, because every error after that is usually a cascaded error as a result of unsuccessfully compiling that first part. So go right to the top, screenshot the first error, and post it on our Facebook group, because we've got a lot of excellent Marlin experts in there, and we can definitely get you on your way to building proper firmware. Hopefully that's not too much of a long-winded answer, but you got all the right hardware. Now it's all just coding.
Okay, I think the next one's for you as well, from 808 Brewer A.
Alrighty. It's the Brian hour here. Okay,
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this. I've been trying to get this working for a few days now, and I can't seem to get it to work. I'm at my breaking point. We've all been there. I don't feel alone on that. I watched the video how to set up Marlin with a BL Touch. I did everything you said, but I got so many errors. So then I just used the Ender 3 files in configuration H. Still not working, although what I get looks to me as one error. And he's pictured an error. My screen sharing is not really set up right at this moment, but the error is region text overflowed by well over 10,000, I think it's like 18,000 bytes. And I remember actually I saw this question on our Facebook group, and I replied there, but just to catch up on the live show, when you see on your compilation text region overflowed by X bytes, this is actually very much more applicable to the 8-bit processors. It tells you which area of your compilation is oversized for what the processor can handle. And so when it says text regions overflowed, usually that means the read-only memory of your processor. To be over by 17 kilobytes is actually a fair sum. And what it basically comes down to is you're trying to add too many features to your motherboard, and it doesn't support that much. You would need to change out the board to something with a bit more capacity to be able to handle all these features. Now, it looks like if you are indeed using an Ender 3, what you have to know is that Ender 3 boards, many of them have the AT Mega 1284p, and some of them have the much more powerful 2560p. If you have the smaller board, and you try to add something, for instance, like a BL Touch, once you start getting into the bed leveling schemas, they use a lot more memory, and you have to start shutting off features. Now, the number one go-to is shut off the boot screen. That knocks off some key memory. But then it's just kind of a guess and check. Unfortunately, there's no really reliable means, I should say. There's no fixed way to find out a memory map of your code compilation to determine, hey, this is using way too much memory. If I cut out that feature, I can trim it off. It's just a little bit of experimentation. So especially when working with stock Ender 3 boards, start at the bare necessities, just as I mentioned with our previous question. Your motor directions, your gantry movements, and all that. If you're working with an Octoprint setup, you don't even need a screen, and that is a big memory usage. But assuming you are using a screen, just get that base config in there, add the features, and then see what else you can strip out. It's unfortunate that that limitation exists. My opinion at this point, based off the long-term reliability, I would say go buy an E3 dip board and drop that in as a drop-in replacement.
Keep going.
Okay, here's next question, right? Okay, next questions from. Oh, I'm not gonna say that name. That's probably a dirty name somehow. Just moved into a new house and getting back to messing around with my printers. I am testing firmware on an old ANET A8 with a new SKR 1.4 non-turbo and BL Touch to learn the proper code before upgrading my bigger printers. That is a great idea. That's not something we talk about, but if you have an old machine, play around with your old machine before you break a brand new one. I finally got all axes going in correct directions and homing in correct direction. When I home the printer, it does hit the X and Y end stops, but when I perform the 9-point auto bed level bilinear, it only goes about 3/4 of the bed size in the X axis. I home in front left corner and the bed is a 220 by 220. It'll perform a 9-point bed level from left to right, but on the first track, which should be first point front left, second point front middle, third point front right, it shifts about to the right about 50 millimeters to where they should be probing. Also, make it do an auto bed level for every print. Is that set up in firmware or slicer? Thank you very much. Okay, 2 issues here. If you're saying that it's probing and it's kind of way offset like that, it actually sounds like your probe offset hasn't been configured. Normally, if your bed size is too small, you'll kind of notice it'll stay within a smaller region on the forward and back. But if you are noticing that it's traveling the full bed on the Y, but not so much on the X, it's probably that probe Z offset, and you might have set it in the wrong direction. A lot of times it's kind of hard to tell because when it prints right at the very beginning, there are software end stops and end stop protection, which you'll basically hit your end stop on your X side, and it'll just stop there, but it'll look like everything's good. So yeah, the first thing I would do is check your probe offsets. We've done it a couple times with calipers and different means. Just make sure it's in the correct direction. Namely, if you're looking at your printer from the front and your probe is to the left of your nozzle, then the X offset's going to be negative. Likewise, if you're looking from the left side of your printer, if you see that the probe is in front of your nozzle, it's going to be a negative offset as well for the Y. Once you got all that set up, there are probe insets, but by default, they should all be the same for every direction. So that's kind of what I'm gathering from that. Now, to make it do an auto bed level for every print, that's actually quite an easy thing to do. The first thing I will do is modify my start G code in my slicer. You'll start with a G28, and you'll notice there's already a G28 in there. And simply after the G28, add a G29 code. So it will do its home, and then it will do its bed leveling. My question would be why you're doing it every print. If you're finding it's losing its information, this is another secret trick. All you have to do is after your G28 start code, add M as in, what do we call it? M as in Mandalorian. Let's use that for the theme for the week. M as in Mandalorian, 420 space S as in Sam 1. And what that does is that restores your bed leveling parameters after a homing. Because if you don't set the restore leveling after G28 setting in your configuration, I believe that's under config advanced, then it actually just turns off bed leveling every time you home, which seems like a moot feature. This is your workaround without changing the firmware. So that's Mandalorian 420 space Samuel 1.
420.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, I didn't write the code.
There you go. Well, we're a little past the halfway point, and I've had to switch cameras because the other one was overheating. So,
did we catch Peter Reynolds $10 there?
No, we didn't. Let's quickly do that. Thank you.
Chat.
Thank you,
Thank
Peter
you for
Reynolds.
the super chat.
I was rambling at the camera, so I didn't even have the chat up, so I missed it there. Sorry about that, and thank you so much.
Peter, I don't think you should order a new BL Touch kit because your particular printer came with the BL Touch. It is still under warranty. It's not even a year old, so it should be covered under warranty from the manufacturer. So again, I would get in touch with the people that you bought it from and say, look, this is the problem I'm having. This is what's had to happen, and it needs to be fixed. If you can't get any resolution from that, then by all means, give me a call, and we will work something out.
For those of you with BL Touches, I'm going to tell you right now, the best thing you can do ahead of time is order a boatload of replacement pins because they do get very soft. You nudge them in the wrong way or it catches on a piece of filament and then it breaks right off now, especially with that safe break. And thanks to some great competition in Canada alone, I've seen BL Touch pins as low as $4.95 Canadian. So the last time I saw that price, I ordered 10 of them. And of course, since I ordered 10 of them, I haven't broken any. But it is one of the easiest things to break while printing, and it's one of the easiest things to replace. It's just a matter of unscrewing that little grub screw on the top and dropping the new one in, and make sure you screw in that grub screw to the same height, or at least read the instructions of the BL Touch to understand where it should sit. And you can almost do it while it's printing, basically, if it's torn off. It is a really easy fix. It's just because it's a soft plastic, it's designed not to break the internals. It's kind of a sacrificial piece. So make sure you order some extras for those, whether you're using the brand name one. I think the other ones actually use the same probes, so you might be able to use those. Just have them on hand. It's a consumable.
Yeah, there you go. Rick Landon, home when that G code is run. I have 200 millimeter bed and zeros at far end OSP of the end stop. Rick, I think what's happening with your machine is, first and foremost, you have to make sure that you know exactly where your BL Touch or auto bed leveling sensor is away from the nozzle. If it's in front of the nozzle, it's negative. If it's to the left of the nozzle when you're looking at the printer, it is also negative. So you've got to make sure that you measure that correctly. If you don't measure that correctly, you are going to get problems. Even if you've got a 200 or 220 bed, it doesn't matter. If that calculation is not done correctly at the beginning, you're going to get a wonky setup for the 9 points on your bed. And it's going to look like it's not doing the entire bed.
And keep an eye on the channel. I've got something coming up to address that. I know a couple people have done some videos. I know Teaching Tech recently did a video on setting that offset, but I've got a different approach I'd like to take on that. So just stay tuned, if you will.
There you go.
Scott Manson was asking, does G29 save mesh to EEPROM? It saves it to the runtime memory, and you're going to want to actually do a manual save after you do that bed leveling. Honestly, and maybe that's because I have been dinking around with my printers too much, I just generally do a brand new G29 every time I power cycle the machine.
Yeah, and you should.
I don't. I can't definitively say if it actually saves it to EEPROM or not, but
it does not. It does not.
Yeah,
no.
And that's something I'm going to try to work with on the Marlin devs at some point. If it doesn't save properly, is even if it just saves those values to the SD card, because for some of us, like I've got like a 36 point probe, and it does take some time. I just hate running it every time, especially when I'm messing with firmware. I'd like to be able to load some defaults in, if you will.
There you go. You're just having a time there tonight.
I am having a great night. Yeah, no, basically so what's coming up basically is my CR-10S V2. I did do another big print on it the other day, and I found that the gantry still had too much wiggle on it. And I mean, when you're moving a 5 millimeter aluminum bed that's 510 by 510, it's just too much vibration. So I am converting it to a cube printer. The frame is built, and I am working with a local gentleman here by the name of Down CNC, and we are going to CNC a brand new frame to basically lift the gantry up. So I'm literally designing it right now, and hopefully I can get it cut this weekend. Otherwise, maybe in the next week here.
There you go. All right, so I think there's a question here from SKW Diesel 1. He says, I'm using an Anycubic Chiron bed. Should I add insulation? If so, what? There's many different insulations out there. It's not necessary that you do it, but it does have advantages by pushing the heat up as opposed to dissipating heat in two ways, because that's what all these beds do. With that heater on the bottom, it's literally radiating heat from both sides. Yes, it's getting trapped a little bit in the aluminum, but your heat is still going out both sides. If you want to keep that heat in and direct it more, it is important that you do insulate it. There is some fireproof insulation that you can get that just goes onto the bottom of your plate. I would have a look on any of the websites that sell insulations for your 3D printer, and you can buy an 8x8 or 220x220 insulation, and then you're just going to put it on using Kapton tape, and that'll adhere to the bed, and you should have no problem. It'll keep that heat moving in one direction as opposed to moving in equally in two directions.
Now, what I've been actually experimenting with in the past 2 weeks was I went down to our local Home Hardware, and they had stick-on insulation tape for pipes, like a metal one, and it was designed up to 80 degrees Celsius. Now, the machine I'm using it on, I will never go above 60 on the bed anyways. I'm using it for PLA. I did bump it up to 80 for a few experiments because, for those of you who don't know, the thermistor sits within the heating element below the bed.
Yes.
It does not sit on the top of the bed where your filament comes into touch. So just because it says it's at 60 degrees and it's holding steady doesn't mean your build surface is at 60 degrees. And the solution for most of the manufacturers is have an extremely thin bed. But if you have a thick bed like mine, you're going to have to crank that temperature up and have either a software-based offset to program into Marlin or just an offset in your head to make sure that your actual build surface is reaching that 60 degrees. Either way, after about a week of trying right now, the adhesive has not loosened up whatsoever with running the bed at 75 degrees. It was a little expensive. The roll was about, I want to say $30 Canadian or so. And that I only used half the roll covering the heating element of my giant bed. But I would say it works, and it was nice because I could cut it to size and I could cut around areas from the thermistor for easy access. Just make sure you don't insulate it in such a way you can't service it again.
There you go. Luke Murray says, if I'm having issues with Marlin and would like to email questions, what all should I send in the email? Screenshots, files, etc. All of it. Anything that you want us to have a look at and detail the problem that you're having, send it to us in an email too. Let me just switch to that right now. Here we go. You can send it to questions@thefirstlayer.com. By all means, make sure that you check that out. And if you do have a question for us, by all means, send it to this email. If you send it to Richard@thefirstlayer or info@thefirstlayer, chances are it's not going to get seen because both of those are more business-related emails. Always send your questions and any relevant information with your question to questions@thefirstlayer.com. We will have a look at it and get it on the show in the following week if it comes in through the week. We do usually cut off questions on Friday, so we have a chance if we have to look something up that we can go ahead and do that. Let me go back to Brian here because I know he's waiting in the wings. There we go.
I'm not here. I'm just catching up on the questions because VaporCat said, I've had a BL Touch destroy 2 Creality glass beds. That is fascinating, to be honest with you. I think what you got to understand about the BL Touch is it's reliant upon basically coming in contact with a physical surface and has a Hall effect sensor that's pretty darn sensitive on there. So sometimes if you're hitting it too aggressive or there's wires around it that can generate noise, your repeatability can kind of go out the window. But with a BL Touch, honestly, I'm getting 0.001025 or so repeatability on probe tests, and you can't even come close to that accuracy with any other sensor on the market. So what you gotta do is anybody who has a BL Touch should enable M48 in their firmware. This allows you to check a single point on the bed through 10 attempts and make sure that it's going and saying the bed's at the same height every time. If you're seeing a deviation higher than 0.01, you're going to notice bed adhesion layer issues. And in VaporCat, it also sounds like your probe Z offset might be getting a little bit wonky there too, because the BL Touch itself will never actually destroy a bed. In fact, if anything, it's usually a bit too sensitive and might detect it a bit too high. But it does sound like it's just crashing into the bed because it's not reading the offsets properly. I'm just going to tell you right now, with an inductive, especially with a glass bed, you're probably going to have a worse time. And I know there's some people that love the inductive ones. I'm not going to name any brand names here or anything tonight. We all know who we're talking about. The BL Touch, I'm sorry, is a superior product because it senses the physical surface, not the inductive properties of the material underneath.
Yeah. So what I would say there, VaporCat, if you're having issues, it's not the hardware, it's in the firmware. That usually is where it is a problem, and your offset, I believe, is probably not set correctly.
Yeah. In regards to the comment, it loses its mind out of the blue. Well, the first thing I would check actually is the power rails on your board, because the
Yep.
inductive probes usually use the same rails. The BL Touch consists of basically 5 core wires. It has a power, which is 5 volts. It has a ground. Actually, it has 2 grounds, but for now we'll talk about the 1 ground. And it has a pulse output from your board, which signals it to deploy the probe and pull it back in. Then on the second wire, you have another ground reference for the end stop, and you have your signal return. There's really not much to them. If there's any kind of electrical noise on your circuit, whether you're drawing too much 5 volts from your rail on the board, or the BL Touch wires are wrapped around your motor cables or anything, it can cause the reliability of the probe to go out the window. But that's more on the supply side. The actual mechanism, the probe assembly itself, is pretty darn hard to mess up, if you will. But you got to go and follow your wires through. Admittedly, the BL Touch wires, they should come with some kind of shielding package. But if not, get yourself some wire wrap. Keep those BL Touch wires separate from the heaters, from your thermistor, and especially from the motor cables.
Yeah, Ben makes an excellent point. It's related to cabling 90% of the time. And I've had that issue too, where I've had them too close to the heater cartridge cables or to the thermistor cables. And just the electrical interference can cause things to go a little wonky from time to time. So that's something to definitely check out. Wilmington, no problem with my 3D touch using the over 2 weeks and all good. Together with the M35 is saving me a ton of time while need to re-level the bed. That's exactly right. M35 is going to save you a ton of headaches later on down the road. The 3D Touch is built on the same technology as the BL Touch. It's just a different brand.
It's a clone. I mean, and I, to be honest with you guys, the 3D Touch here costs about the same price as the regular BL Touch. And honestly, Paris has a great design in there. If your printer comes with a 3D Touch, I know a lot of people harp on it. It's probably going to be fine. Just don't assume that it's going to be as replaceable, if you will, as a BL Touch, because I find the BL Touch parts are better available versus the 3D Touch there.
There you go. We are running out of time real quick. We're like 8 minutes out before we end the show. So if you've got any more questions, we've got time for a couple more quick ones. Mm-hmm. Brian, what do you got coming up this week? What are you working on?
The big thing right now is the XS V upgrade. As you saw earlier behind Jess, you saw the Mandalorian helmet. This is kind of a long overdue print on this machine there. I am working on I suppose I can tell you guys now, I'm working on a 10-foot tall Falcon 9 rocket. It's Gusang Wan's model at 300%. I have 4 out of the 7 pieces done, but due to vibration issues with the CR-10S V at around 600 millimeters, I've opted to reconstruct the machine for less vibration and then continue on with that project. So I'll post some photos, but I'll be honest, it's not great. It's just so big that I'll be able to sand it down, so I'm just not very happy with it right now. Apart from that, I might get the resin printer fired up again. I've been meaning on doing a little bit of work with that machine. I have a brand new bottle of Polyjuice, which is water washable, and I haven't tried the water washable yet, so I'm going to be playing with that. How about yourself, Richard?
Well, this week I'm continuing painting. We're working on many different projects, including this one. We've got a review that we've got to get out this week. We've actually got a couple of reviews we got to get out in the next couple of weeks. And then what else we got going on? We have a lot of printing and a lot of painting that we're going to be doing. We are getting ready to launch the new show, The Last Layer. And that will be launching sometime in December, closer to the end of the year, if not in January. We might kick off 2021 with a great new show. And that show itself is going to be geared to finishing your 3D print. So taking it from its raw form that you get off the printer, we're going to show you exactly how to get a really nice looking model for yourself, for display, for a gift for somebody. And we're going to be covering all kinds of different materials. We're going to cover painting. I'm going to show you some airbrushing techniques. We're going to go over a ton of stuff, and that's primarily going to be me. Jess is going to be joining me from time to time to talk about 3D printing cosplay pieces. We've also have our good friend Ben Eady, who is going to join us from time to time and talk more about cosplay and 3D printing. And I've got a ton of resin printing that we're going to be really digging into. So we'll be showing those off as well. So that's pretty much what I've got on my plate.
That's it. We've been busy folks. I was stuck out of town, as you guys knew, so I was absent, and now we're getting to the back of the groove of things. You know, that's also why we've had some delays on the episodes, truth be told. It's been another hectic week or so, so we're not going to dump content on you if it's not ready.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. I believe we are good to go this week.
Fingers crossed. We have the WeDo coming out this Wednesday, the WeDo X40. You guys are going to get to see that finally, and then the week after that, you're going to see the Bluer Plus. Those are two that we have coming out for you in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. Keep looking for our new videos coming out, and share them with your friends. Give us a thumbs up on today's video. I know we had some technical difficulties, but it happens.
Of the year.
It happens.
We're trying to do something very complex here, something that we shouldn't be doing, instead of spending, as I said earlier, the $350 US they want for an upgrade that we don't really need. We're possibly looking at playing again with what was it there? StreamYard, I think it was.
Yeah, we played with StreamYard. We have an account with StreamYard. We may do a little bit more of that in the future, but right now, being that this is software that we paid for, we might as well get our money's worth out of it. And as we get up there and we start moving to 4K, then we'll get into the 4K software. But right now, it really doesn't pay for us to get into the 4K software.
Yeah, VMix, if you're listening, if you could give us a package where we could spend $50 or something and get one more collar, that would be great. But I am not spending $350 to go from one collar to 4 collar and go to 4K when every camera we have is 1080p. That just makes no sense.
All right, my friends, until we see you next week, remember that the first layer is always your foundation to a great print. And I'm going to say goodbye to Brian. He's over there.
Wait. There we go.
There you go.
Bye, Richard.
Bye, Brian. And you guys have yourselves a great weekend. I'm going to go upstairs and eat some popcorn and watch a movie with my wife. And we will see you guys on Wednesday with the WeDo X40.
Bye for now.